Why on earth would we post a winter market podcast in mid-April? Well, I'm glad you asked. Midwest Marketplace is looking for awesome vendors for this year's market set for November 3rd and 4th. Karla Goche-Williams joins us on the Love in Lebanon podcast, requesting vendors and recapping the growth of the market that began to help small businesses during COVID. Episode 116 starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, on this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast, we're kind of looking ahead to later on in the year. We're looking to a November event, and we'll tell you why here in just a second here on the podcast. We've got Karla Goche-Williams here. She's one of the organizers for Midwest Marketplace joining us here on the podcast. Karla, thank you so much for being here on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
It's one of those things where people may see, wait a minute, this is an event that's happening in November, but there's a really good reason why we're sitting here in the middle of April.
Yes.
A vendor call out for Midwest Marketplace.
Yes. So we are planning and accepting merchants. We jury our merchants, so we just don't accept everyone, but we jury our merchants, and our application is open, and we are looking for small Midwest businesses.
And how fantastic is that to be selective? So it's not
Yes.
just everybody in and you have 38 people selling the same thing. You're kind of vetting people more or less to be able to say, no, we need just a couple of these, and this is really what we're looking for. I'm guessing you've seen the advantage in that over the years. This is year 3 of the event that we're getting ready for.
It is. We want to make sure it's better for the shoppers and the merchants, because we want the merchants to succeed and the shoppers to be happy. And so we don't want to have too much of one thing. And so that's why we kind of watch and make sure that we have a variety of different products and different vendors.
And so you can mark your calendars right now, everybody. Midwest Marketplace coming up, the Christmas market. We're looking at Christmas and it's April. The event comes up in early November from the 3rd and 4th. Get your specific updates on our website and also the body of this podcast as well. If we can back up to talk about the why a little bit, Karla, this is something that, on there's a reoccurring kind of theme of COVID and how that affected our lives. This has been a blessing of a global pandemic.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, we had worked in another organization on putting together a market, and a lot of markets were going virtual, and it's just not the same. And so in 2021, we decided to have a market, and small businesses were struggling with COVID and everything, and so people miss the in-person shopping experience, and so that's why we started it in 2021, just to help those small businesses and bring people together. And
how did that look in 2021? Because right about then, everyone was kind of dealing with what COVID life was like, and but all the while being able to provide, like you said, a shopping experience and a boon to small business as well.
Yeah, so we had it in October. It was actually Halloween weekend. And so it was just how it worked and what was available. And we had to have a fall market. And so now it's in November, which is kind of like, is it Christmas or not? But fair game, it's Christmas. And so it's just, it has changed, but it's just gotten bigger. The first year, I think we had around 80 merchants. Last year, we had close to 100, and that's what we plan on for this year. And we've obviously changed the theme to be more Christmassy. So.
And going there last year with my family, it's literally, pardon the pun, a one-stop shop. Really something for everyone. And you do that by design, where it's a number of different things. And as you mentioned, a lot of small business as well. How great has it been to be able to see the lives of those small business owners helped out by an event like this? Yeah,
we actually had one that it was our market was the first market they did. And it turns out their business just boomed, and they could not do it last year because they put in a storefront. And
oh, darn.
Yeah, I know. It was sad for us, but awesome for them. And just that they could put it, their business was so great, they put a storefront in Avon. And so we hope they come back, because they were amazing cookies. And my husband, who does not have a sweet tooth, was eating them. So he was sad too to not have them.
Another podcast episode, not having a sweet tooth, but we'll get into that later. And for those of us that have all their teeth are sweet, would love that. If you can kind of talk about some of the other items that are offered at the Midwest Market as well. Again, everyone, the Midwest Marketplace taking place in early November, the 3rd and 4th of this year. Vendor call out right now, which is the purpose of this podcast. We're talking with Karla Goche-Williams here on the Love and Lebanon pod. The number of different things that are there, obviously some apparel, but a wide range of different items for just about everyone.
Yeah, so we had charcuterie boards, someone that makes that, someone that makes wood stuff, blankets, earrings, I mean, so many different things, stuff for pets, candles. Another thing that we did as Midwest Marketplace is we partner with a company called We Help Too, and they are out of Texas. And what we do is we sell packs of funky socks. Funky
socks? You're going to say kind of funky.
Right. And so you buy a 3-pack, and it's $15. We give money to the Caring Center when you do that. So of that $15, $9 goes to the Caring Center, along with a pair of socks that we give to the Caring Center that they can use for their store, their clients or whatever. So that was a lot of fun doing that.
And then the person purchasing the socks, what do they get?
They get a pack of 3 socks.
What kind of socks?
You're going to make me say this again, and I can't say it that way. You say it much better than I do.
They get the funky socks.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And it's helping a good cause at the same time. How important was that to be able to kind of pay it forward? Because it sounds like this was one of those missions that you talked about, helping out small business and all the while helping out a caring organization here locally as well. How important was that?
It was very important because we partner with the Boone County Convention and Visitor Bureau because they gave us a grant. We picked Lebanon and the Boone County Fairgrounds because we feel like, no offense, but everything happens in Hamilton County and Fishers and Noblesville. And then we just felt like it was an area that just is not as utilized. And so that's why we picked Lebanon. And the fact that the Boone County Convention and Visitor Bureau gave us a grant to help us with the rent at the fairgrounds. And so we wanted to make sure to give back to Boone County specifically.
The future plans for this event going forward with the fairgrounds as the location, I'm guessing, is to continue to take up more space because as of right now, you guys have the adjoining Witham Pavilion there pretty well packed.
Yeah, we had the Witham, and then we had the connecting.
You had the little tunnel. Yeah,
yes,
I remember that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The first year we had the Witham, and we couldn't have the tunnel one. It wasn't connected. It was the poultry barn, and so we were lucky to put them all in one building this time. And but I mean, obviously, we want it to grow and stuff, and for more businesses to come.
And you mentioned it perfectly, and no offense was taken. There are a lot of events that happen in the other donut counties, and we feel like the ripple effect is coming our way here in Boone County. It was that was kind of my next question. That kind of seeing the need there and being able to have that as the venue here in Boone County was the fact that, man, Boone County doesn't host these things. We need to do that.
Yeah, and it's the fairgrounds. They're amazing to work with. Shout out to Jack.
Yeah, Jack's awesome.
He's awesome. And the free parking and just the easy access, getting off the interstate, it's all right there. And just, very friendly to work with. And Marcia and Jack are amazing.
Getting off the interstate, the parking, boom, right there. It's really easy peasy that way. Everybody, we're talking with Karla Goche-Williams. She's one of the organizers for Midwest Marketplace, again, taking place later on this year in November the 3rd and 4th, and get you the time specifics around that in the body of the podcast, as well as on our social media channels as well. Also, our event calendar you can go to online. There's a webpage there, and Midwest Marketplace has already been added. If we can kind of, Karla, talk about the different parameters. You talked about vetting the different vendors, the different things that they have to hit or meet to be able to provide, because we joked around before we hit the red button and recorded, McDonald's isn't selling the Big Mac there. We're not going that way.
Right.
It has to be a locally owned, or at least that's the goal anyway.
Yep. We went locally or Midwest. We don't accept chains or franchises or multi-level marketing. And that was kind of the big thing too, was because I have done a bigger event for a nonprofit organization, and just sometimes that was the other thing, was the booth space. And we wanted to make the booth space affordable because some events have extremely expensive booth space. And that then kind of leads to those multi-level marketing companies, because the small businesses can't afford it. And so we want to make sure the product is quality, and we want to have a variety. That's one thing, is if it's all clothing, then the merchants aren't going to do well, the shoppers aren't going to buy as much, and people won't be happy. And so that's why we want to make sure it's quality product. And
I could see how that would dilute the market if everyone there is selling one thing and it's, geez, okay, my 38th booth of the same thing.
Right.
I could definitely see that. So you guys keep the cost of the vendor space down to kind of incentivize those small mom and pops. That's a great touch as well, because a lot of these, they really get you up front and they take away from that bottom line. That was by design as well.
Yeah. So our 10 by 10 is $250. And for the day and a half, we were researching that when we picked the cost, and it could range from $200 to over $1,400 for a 10 by 10. And so that's just something. And another thing that we try to do to make it a little bit more higher end is we add the pipe and drape. And so that just makes it look nicer for the merchant. It helps them kind of space their booth out and make it look more high end. And so that's an experience we wanted for the merchants and the shoppers.
It sounds like that would be some heavy lifting taken off of their plate too, trying to have to deal with their items and then having to kind of dress up their space. You're taking that worry, kind of that extra activity away so they can work on dealing with clients and things like that.
Exactly. And that's actually another small local business we use for that is A Classic. We use them. They help us. I've worked with them before. They're amazing. They help with that. Mel from Indiana Owned, she was amazing. We kept playing phone tag last year, and I just realized that she was like a mile from my house. So I just went there and she'll tell the story. I just sat in her office until she was available. So Mel was a huge help with us. And so it's just great, the different people we've met and working with this, Jerry with Convention and Visitor Bureau, and just I can't say enough on how working with different people in Boone County have been amazing.
And if we can kind of talk about that a little bit, wanted to ask you about Mel, and she's been on the podcast along with Claire and Missy. They worked on a collaborative effort downtown, and now Mel has a brick and mortar spot. Highly recommend it downtown in Lebanon. But that kind of connection and kind of the people of Boone County, you mentioned Jerry Day as well with the CVB. Can you kind of put a finger on your thumb on what it is about Boone County and this area where working together and just kind of the friendships and kind of forging those relationships to better the community as a whole? I mean, can you put your finger on how that is? The hospitality, the Hoosier hospitality, all those buzzwords?
I think it's just that people care. And they also know, like when I go back and say that it gets neglected. Boone County definitely gets neglected. And maybe it's because some people maybe do an event in Indianapolis, but maybe they work in Hamilton County or whatever. I don't know. But I feel like these people live and work in Boone County and really care about its growth and everything.
Everybody, you're listening to the Lebanon podcast, and we're talking with Karla Goche-Williams. She's one of the organizers for Midwest Marketplace, taking place on November 3rd and 4th this year. Vendor call-out taking place right now. Now, if someone is kind of listening to this podcast, they're sitting on the fence, I make this item, this thing, this widget, and want to get more information, what's the best way to get a hold of you or maybe kind of see if what they have would fit the needs that the marketplace has going forward as you lay things out for later on this year?
Yeah, they can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Midwest Marketplace. They can email us at hello@midwestmarketplace.co, not .com. That's causes some problems sometimes. Or our website, it's at midwestmarketplace.co.
.co, and we'll share this on our platforms as well. And I always like to ask people about this, Karla, and if you don't mind, the why you do this. And this was, if you're listening to the podcast starting right now, this is in the thick of COVID, coming out of it, helping out small business. What drives you to keep on doing these things and continuing to grow this event? Because it's meeting a serious need, not just in Boone County in our area, but people come from out of town to check everything out that you're helping to organize and put together.
Yeah, I mean, because I have a full-time corporate job. So.
I was going to say, this isn't a full-time gig. This is a labor of love, pun intended, and quite truthful, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, the one merchant that did the market, we were their first market, and then has a storefront. I mean, just makes it really worth it, and just how we can help them and help them grow. And we've introduced people to different organizations like Mel at Indiana Owned. She had met some people and tried to help them, and just how we can all collaborate. It's just been great all around. I mean, because she had members there and helped encouraged some of her members to apply. And so it was just really great. And she got new members that she did not have before that were merchants. And so it's just, our event is once a year, even though we're planning it all year round, but how can they be helped throughout the year? And that, I think, really is how Mel and I, the organizations, can work together.
Is one of the goals, I'm guessing, to have that brick and mortar spot and be able to kind of see and build that similar to what Mel has?
No.
No. You want them back?
No brick and mortar. It's never no. Mel does a great job doing that. It would be maybe to have a market more than once a year.
Gotcha.
So, but never a brick and mortar.
That's a lot of heavy lifting.
That's I mean, Mel does an amazing job. I don't know how she does it all.
Well, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And again, everybody, Midwest Marketplace, mark your calendars, November 3rd and 4th. It's not quite December, so you have a chance to get that holiday shopping done ahead of time. And that really worked out for us, got to be honest. You know, being able to take a family there, and my wife found something for her boss, and we found some other things as well. Boom, boom, boom. We got so much of the Christmas shopping done and out of the way. I'm guessing that's kind of part of the timing as well with this whole thing.
It is. And just unique gifts. That's instead of, ordering or, going to the big department stores, finding something unique for friends and family. And so we're still looking for food trucks, popcorn, always men's stuff, because that is...
Yes, please.
I know. That one's always a tough one, always. Yeah. But yeah, definitely just different things and stuff like that.
Okay. And if people have a question like, hey, do you have enough of these vendors or that type of thing? So right now, the men's stuff, yes, put in a plug for that. The food truck, the popcorn, anything walking and eating and munching, that's always...
Or hot pretzels. I mean, you can never go wrong with hot pretzels, too.
Okay, we're on the same... You're speaking my language here. Got it. But if they have questions, they can just reach out to you and say, hey, I got an idea for this. What do you think? And you can thumbs up or thumbs down it and move forward or redirect them somewhere.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yes. Karla, appreciate you being here on the podcast. I know you were super excited and not nervous at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast. Go check out Midwest Marketplace. They do a great job online, social media. Their pictures are outstanding, and information to mark those calendars for November 3rd and 4th of this year. We'll see you there, and we'll see you for more episodes of the Love and Lebanon podcast. Karla, thank you again.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.